If I were to ask you how many people it takes to buy or sell a house, how many would you think? Well, I know there are at least 27, and I'm going to break each one down. Now, before we dig into another episode of Ben Belack, Super Realtor, I need you all at home to go nuclear on the like button. So I just took another buyer intake, and I was yet again surprised at how little the general public knows about A, the stages of the real estate transaction, and B, the roles of all of the contributors to its beginning and end. So I thought I would take all of you through all of the important people that participate in the transaction. Here we go. Number one, your mom. You should absolutely go to your parents and ask them for some advice if you're going to buy or sell a property, because likely they've done it 2, 3, 4, 5 times already. And if you don't ask for advice, you're certainly going to get some unsolicited advice. And if you don't get unsolicited advice, I can call in my mom and she'll give you plenty of that. First in is the staging company. In the beginning, they send over the sales reps to give you a bid and for them to do some diligence. After you agree to a price, which usually includes the first 3 months of renting the furniture, the installation, the removal, and the designer fee, in our market anywhere between $5,000 to $100,000, then they send over the designer. After the staging company has done their installation, we bring in a photographer to capture magazine-ready photos. Like an actor's headshot, it's the first thing casting, or in this case, buyers see. So it is incredibly important that the photos are aspirational and perfect. And for you real estate agents out there, if you're gonna spend money on one thing, go overboard on the photographer. Did you know that over 90% of home buyers are looking for homes that have video? So around the time that we take photos, we capture emotionally captivating and aspirational video. It is our goal through video to not just take us through a 5-minute tour that's boring and a snooze fest, but instead to act like a sizzling movie trailer that gets people in their cars and driving over to private showings or open houses. So the videographer comes next. Well, many of you think calling me would be next, and you can if you'd like, but particularly the buyers out there, the first step truly is talking to a lender. Only the lender can tell you what you can afford, not an online mortgage calculator. And truthfully, you cannot submit an offer, even if it's double the asking price, and have it taken seriously or even accepted without a pre-approval letter. So the lender is that integral next piece of the puzzle. For buyers, the only role on this list that would be free for them is up next, and it's their agent. Yep, you do not pay your agent, the seller does. And you should 1000% use an agent. They will protect you, they will look out for you, they will help you with valuation, they will run comps, they will try to dig up pockets, they will prepare the contracts, they will negotiate for you. Last year we had a listing that we got for our buyers down from $4 million to $3.3 million. You cannot do that by going directly to the listing agent or to the seller themselves, so please use a buyer's agent. Next up is the listing agent. This is the agent representing the seller. You'll come across many listing agents in private showings and open houses, but I think what's important to understand is that the listing agent is the gatekeeper. They are the seller, and they have everything on the line by endorsing you as the buyer to go into escrow with. So it's important that you and your agent not declare war on them and that you make them your ally. I always tell people you want to kiss the ring. Don't start grinding the listing agent until you're in escrow. Congratulations, you have a deal. Mutual acceptance between buyer and seller. It's a beautiful thing. So what happens next? Well, escrow opens. Escrow is a term that is used in 2 ways. One, it's the third-party intermediary company that holds the earnest money deposit of the buyer. They also tend to facilitate paperwork and things required by the state. Additionally, escrow is the time period between offer accepted and closing. So the next contributor to our escrow transaction is the escrow officer. So as you'd expect, the transaction has to be insured. Of what, you ask? Well, from encumbrances. Examples of encumbrances could be a judgment lien or a tax lien, or maybe some previous seller didn't pay a contractor, so they've put what's called a mechanic's lien on the property. A title insurance policy gives a buyer peace of mind that after they take possession and ownership of the property, that someone isn't going to come after them for some previous debt that this seller or a prior seller may have incurred and was attached to the property. So this important role in customer service rep is a title insurance policy officer. God, that's a lot of words. It's the title insurance rep. In addition to the escrow company facilitating the paperwork exchange, there will also be a transaction coordinator, and there's one on each side. So if you've got, say, a broker at the agency and another one at, say, Hilton and Highland, there will be two transaction coordinators making sure that all T's are crossed and all I's are dotted in all of the statutory disclosures that are important for you to see. The next group can really vary in quantity and cost based on where you're located. If you're in New York City or Chicago and you're buying a condo, you may just have a general inspector. Here in LA, where we have earthquakes, we have to add on a geologist, a structural engineer, foundation specialist, someone to make sure water is being drained away from the property. That's on top of a roof inspector, a mold inspector, a sewer line inspector, and of course the general. So I think you got to add on another 7 to our total here, but they're such an important piece to making sure a buyer knows what they're getting on one of the most important purchases of their life. Next, of course, is the all-important appraiser. And look, I don't like to say anything bad about anyone or anything, but it is such an easy certification status to achieve as a certified appraiser. And there's so much money on the line, and oftentimes they're overworked. They live in their parents' basement in Riverside County, and they don't understand the nuances of one house next to another one, view orientation, doneness. You can tell I'm bitter about appraisers. I've seen easy ones not come in. I've seen really hard ones come in. I've seen appraisers show up with no teeth in the front. They're there because the bank is in the risk aversion business, and they want to make sure that if you stop paying your mortgage, I'm still bitter, you guys, and they get stuck with the house, that they didn't overpay for it with regard to the loan amount. So the appraiser is a very, very important role in the transaction. If you see a headline, Beverly Hills Super Realtor kills appraiser, it may be me. Next up, I'm going to use an analogy. You have sales, and then you have customer service. In this case, sales would be the lender as it relates to the loan, and they give you a pre-approval. But there's the customer service part, which is the underwriter. It usually takes about 3 weeks to go from a pre-approval, which is when the lender takes that first primary snapshot of your financial profile, to a full approval, where the underwriter goes deep, deep, deep in that to ask you for all of your financial documents, your parents' documents, their parents' documents, to ultimately approve the loan, because again, the bank is in the risk aversion business. Well, we're in traffic, so I thought we could take another break here and talk about who's up next. It's the Retrofitting Compliance Company. In California, we are required by the state to have retrofit compliance at every transaction. Now, that is often confused with retrofitting of the foundation. It's not what it means. There just has to be smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, an earthquake shutoff valve at the gas meter, and strapping of the water heater properly, also in case of earthquake, per the code when a house trades hands. So that's another important role in the real estate transaction. The last group comes with an asterisk because it really depends on the state. There are often business managers who are weighing in and giving their opinion. And in a lot of states, people will not do or can't do a real estate transaction without the participation of attorneys. So there is a bit of miscellaneous groups in there too. So as you can see, there are many hands that touch the real estate transaction from beginning to end. It is so important to hire a professional so they can guide you through the process while you can focus on more important things like Pinterest design boards, figuring out what couch and chairs you're going to get into the great room. If you have any questions about the process, please do not hesitate to put it in the comments. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.